Good morning, third grade. Welcome back to the Math Center. Today in math, you will need page 575 from your Volume 2 My Math book. You will also need your writer's notebook and or a piece of scrap paper and a pencil. So if you do not have those items, go ahead and go get them. Press pause. When you're ready, press play for your lesson. Okay, welcome back, third grade. Up on the screen, I have our warm-up, our do now. So let's look at our do now. It says the product of the digits in a mystery number is 12. What does the word product mean, third grade? Product. Very good. It's the answer to multiplication. So the answer to a multiplication of the digits in the mystery number is 12. It is an odd number, and it is less than 9 times 9. Which of the following is the mystery number? And then it gives us 78, 43, 51, 126. So there's a couple things we need to figure out first before we can figure out our mystery number. So we know that the product of the digit of the mystery number, when you multiply both of the numbers together or all three of the numbers together, you're going to get 12. We also know that it is an odd number. That means if it's odd, it's going to end in a 1, a 3, 5, a 7, or a 9. They are your odd numbers. So the number that we're looking for is going to end in one of those numbers. It is also less than 9 times 9. What is 9 times 9, boys and girls? We just did our nines facts this week. We're just learning them. So 9 times 9. Very good. So we know it is less than 9 times 9 is 81. So we know it's less than 81. Okay, so let's look at our numbers. I have 78. Okay, when I multiply 7 times 8, do I get 12? No. Plus, it also ends in what? It ends in the even number, so I know it's not 78. Okay? Let's skip over this and look at 551. Does it end in an odd number? Yes, it ends in a 1. When I multiply 5 times 1, do I get 12? No. So that one's out. Let's look at 126. Does it end in an odd number? No, it doesn't. And it's also more than 81, isn't it? So let's look at the only number that's left. Is 4 times 3 12? Yes, it is. Does it end in an odd number? Does it end in a 1, 3, 5, 7, or 9? Yes. So this is correct. This is correct. And is 43 less than 81? Yes, very good. So our mystery number, third grade, is 43. Process of elimination, third grade. I know it takes a lot of time, but it's worth going back and checking our work, isn't it? Very good. Okay, before we start our lesson, I want to review what we talked about yesterday. Today, we're going to talk about, in math, parts of a whole. So in chapter 10, we've been talking about fractions, and we're going to look at some of the vocab words that we discussed already in fractions. So let's look at the two that we've already discussed. Let's do that because Mrs. Cameron put the other two that we're going to talk about today. So we talked about fractions, and we said that fractions is a number that represents equal parts or an equal part of a whole or an equal part of a set. So it's a part of something. It's a part of a whole. It's not a whole number. It's a fraction or a part of it. And the example I have written here is 4 out of 8 or 4/8. Now, I know the slash to you looks like a division sign. Okay, so when you put it in your computer and you use the same sign that we use for division, we're not saying 4 divided by 8. So it'll look like that if you wrote it on as a fraction. Okay, that is 4 parts out of 8 equal parts. And we're going to talk about that today. Okay, the next vocab word that we talked about is a unit fraction. And a unit fraction represents one equal part of the whole. And the top number is always a 1. And here's the example. I have 1 out of 2, or 1/2. And because the top number is always a 1, it's 1 part out of 2 equal parts. So the 1/2 is your unit fraction. Okay, we're going to talk about 2 other fractions, or 2 other parts of the fractions today in our new lesson. So go ahead and let's look at page 575. Let's look at example 1. Example 1 says, the background paper of Mrs. Dempsey's bulletin board is divided equally into 4 strips. 4 stripes. What fraction of the bulletin board is green? So let's look. Here's Mrs. Dempsey's bulletin board, and it's in 1, 2, 3, 4 stripes. It says the bulletin board represents 1 whole. This is 1 whole. And it is divided into 4 equal parts, or into fourths. We say fourths. We're going to use fraction tiles to model the equal parts of the bulletin board, and then we're going to trace the tiles. Okay, so here's my whole, and we're going to split it into fourths. That means we're going to put it into 4 equal parts. Unit fraction, 1/4, 1/4, 1/4, 1/4. Okay, so let's use this model up here. I'm going to put my unit fractions in as 1/4, 1/4, 1/4, 1/4. 1/4 is green. 1 out of 1, 2, 3, 4 of those stripes are green. So we say it is 1/4. Sometimes you'll hear it as 1/4. Sometimes you'll hear it as 1 out of 4. So 1 out of 1, 2, 3, 4 parts is green. So they give us new vocab words down at the bottom. 1, the number on your top, I'm going to rewrite it so it's a little bit bigger for you. 1, not only is this whole fraction a unit fraction, but now they're giving us the proper terms for each number. So the 1 at the top is called our numerator. Okay, and the numerator tells us the equal parts being represented. And in this case, the equal parts that are green. 1 out of 1, 2, 3, 4 are green. That's your numerator. That's the equal parts being represented. Usually the part that is either shaded or not shaded. Okay, the 4 at the bottom is your denominator. Okay, and the denominator, I always use that D because it's down below. This is your fraction bar, this straight line. And the denominator is down below your fraction bar. And that tells us the total number of equal parts. So the 4th, or the 4, tells us how many equal parts that whole was broken into. It's broken into fourths. Okay, so 1 out of 4, or 1/4 of the bulletin board is what color? Is green. Okay, so the top number being your numerator tells us how many equal parts are being represented. The bottom number underneath your fraction bar is your denominator, and that starts with D because that's down, and that tells us how many equal parts are in the whole. Okay, let's keep practicing. Okay. So at the top, it's telling us that not all fractions are unit fractions. So not all fractions have a 1 as a numerator. Okay, not all of them have a 1 as a numerator. And I'm going to write numerator, and I'm going to write denominator to help you remember. Okay, so let's look at example 2. What fraction of the flag is red? Well, here's our whole rectangle. How many equal parts did it break into? So it has 1, 2, 3 equal parts. So that's going to be our denominator. How many of those equal parts are red? So I have 1, 2 out of 3 are red. There's 2 parts out of 1, 2, 3 equal parts that are red. So 2, and we say out of 3 are red. And we can read this as 2/3. We read that as 2/3. Okay, so let's see what it says at the bottom. It says, so 2 out of 3, or 2/3 of the flag is what color? Red. Very good. It says to explain why 2/3 is not a unit fraction. Remember what we said about unit fractions. What always has to be at the top? Let's look back. Okay, unit fraction represents 1 equal part of the whole, and the top number is always 1. So why is 2/3 not considered a unit fraction? Very good, because the number at the top, or the numerator, we're going to use big third grade words. So the numerator shows more than 1 equal part. Okay, the numerator shows or names more than 1 equal part, and I'm going to put of the whole. 1 equal part of the whole. Okay, it's showing 2 equal parts, so it's 2/3, not 1/3. Okay, so the numerator shows more than 1 equal part of the whole. Okay, let's look at your guided practice. It says to complete the chart, write a fraction for each part. Okay, write a fraction for each part. So let's look at the model number 1. Here's the fraction models. This is the part that is yellow. That's the fraction that's representing yellow. And this is going to be the fraction that is not yellow. And it's okay because we'll do these together. So let's look. First, let's find our denominator. Let's look at how many equal parts there are in the whole. Okay, let's look at total, how many total equal parts on it. That's going to be our denominator. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So our denominator is always going to be 4 because that's what it's broken into. It's broken into 4 equal parts. Okay, that's your whole. Your whole is broken into 4 equal parts. Let's talk about the numerator, the number on the top. What number or what part is yellow out of the 4? Well, I have 1, 2, 3 parts that are yellow. So the fraction that is yellow is 3 out of 4, or 3/4. Okay, can you tell me what part is not yellow? How many of the 4 are not yellow? What's my numerator going to be here? The part that's not yellow. Very good. 1 out of 4, or 1/4, is not yellow. I want you to press pause, and I want you to try number 2. First, I want you to find how many total equal parts there are in the whole. That's going to be your denominator. Then I want you to count how many are represented in yellow. That's going to be your numerator. And then I want you to count how many are not yellow. That's going to be your numerator on this side. Go ahead and press pause. When you're ready, press play, and we'll check and see how you did. Okay, welcome back, third grade. Let's see how you did. We're going to count how many total equal parts there are. So I'm going to find my denominator first, and I'm going to put a dot as I count so I know I counted that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So this object was cut into 8 equal parts, make my whole. That's my denominator. I have 8 parts that make my whole. That's my denominator. Let's count and see what my numerator is. How many out of the 8 are yellow? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 out of 8 or 5/8 are yellow. Did you get that answer correct, third grade? If you didn't, go back and check and see how we did or what you did wrong. Let's look at the parts that are not yellow. What fraction is not yellow? How many out of 8 are not yellow? 1, 2, 3. 3 out of 8 or 3/8 are not yellow. Pretty fun, isn't it? Okay, very good, third grade. Okay, before you go and do your independent practice in your Google Slides, in closing, I want you to tell me in the comment section, what is a numerator? What does the numerator show us? If you're not sure, there's a place you can find it. What does the numerator tell us? Okay, third grade, until next time, have a good day.